So okay, let's talk about like because I think there is an interesting correlation though. Like that's why we're talking about it. But now you look at LAN parties, it's like the same idea of like, okay, get people into place, like lock the doors for security, for safety, whatever, but like get people to like stay together for a period of time to build relationships.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that's what's amazing about the LAN party, which, by the way, let's talk about the origin of LAN party real quick. The origin of LAN party, I looked up, again, in a trusty source. It started in the 1970s and 80s, so right after the lock-ins were presented. Okay, I'm done. It's during those.
Really saying that LAN parties got the idea from lock-ins?
Look, I'm just giving you the data.
All right,
okay?
We need to chop this thought branch off right away.
So, like a LAN party, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, maybe for some people they don't know what LAN is nowadays. But LAN is local area network, where we literally, I mean, we're doing it right now. I'm looking at an Ethernet cable going from a wall to our computer. And so you do that with other computers so that you can play together. And so in the 70s and 80s, right, we didn't have internet as we know it, Wi-Fi as we know it now, those capabilities. And so people wanted to play with their friends. They would come to a space together and haul their massive, more massive than now machines in crazy monitors to a space to play together locally, right? And so that is amazing. And so some of the bigger players in that was like, we've been talking all weekend about Doom and Quake QuakeCon and those kind of things. And so there's those big concepts of LAN. But yeah, so in that same mindset then, okay, so there's a little bit of the origin of the LAN party, why it existed. It existed because people literally couldn't play video games together. They online and stuff like that. So now we're coming together to do that together and spend intentional time together to build relationships together. But what then? Why are we doing those now? Why are we doing those today? You know? Why are we doing them?
I think we talked about that. Someone at length last week where we said it's for relationships. So yeah. There are some themes that are similar in that we definitely want people to be building relationship and spending intentional time together and deepening friendships. And that I really do see LAN parties as a great place to do that. Sometimes that happens when you're playing games with another individual, and sometimes that happens outside of the gaming environment, where I know one of the things that is not necessarily on the written agenda right now, but we were going to have a big tabletop presence at the next LAN event.
Yeah.
We're going to have some people running some games out in the cafe from a tabletop. D&D, there's a couple people doing one-shots, so there's a lot of excitement around that. So we're pumped for that, but it's about building the relationships with others and saying, man, we want to have fun together. We want to play, games that are fun with each other. We also want to have a little bit of competition with the competing, right? So we run the tournaments and equipping. We've got all kinds of breakouts, and we do a quick story time and all that fun stuff that we usually do at the LAN. But yeah, when we think about it, there's concerns, right, for almost anything from a technology perspective, from a governance perspective. We think about, what kind of long-term impact, and this is a really weird one. You think about what are some of like the fondest memories you had like growing up. Like it might be, oh man, I remember like I was actually had this thought the other day. I was like, wow, my kids are gonna go up saying, man, I really remember playing Zero Builds with my dad and it was great. And I'm like, wow, okay, well that was like for me going back to like Nintendo 64 at my friend's house and being like, that was for me, that was what I remembered growing up. Mm-hmm. And it's really very kind of cool to think about the fact that you're generating memories and what's going to have a long-term impact on life. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's sweet. And so, you won't get that relational value like anywhere in any other like atmosphere either, So, I mean, sure, we all have microphones and we all have cameras in front of us and we can play games online together. But there's still just like a natural disconnect and barrier between that, right? And so, I mean, there's a clear difference between, because we've done this before, like we've played, I think every one of us, maybe not, I haven't played games with you, but I play games with Zilly and Joe, up for more. But like when I play games with you, Joe, online, like it's way different than playing with you in person, right? And so it's just, obviously, and so, why don't we spend extended time like capitalizing on that, and then like you know, like Zilly might bring a friend and you might bring a friend, and then, oh, okay, I met somebody online. They might not have their mic on, they might not have their camera on. And it's like you met a name or a gamer tag, but you didn't really meet a person. And so it's different when they're like, because we've seen this before, like, oh, I'm gonna bring my friend to the LAN party, and now, oh, you're so and so, like,
Yeah.
and I've even done that with, like, I've been to how many of our LANs now? Like probably 10 or so of our LANs now, and even now, like, I think even at the last LAN, I remembered that, like, oh, you are that gamer tag, and so there's just something there with like seeing that gamer tag and then seeing that person in real life,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my gosh, and so yeah.
Also for me, it's a very stressful moment because I'm like, shoot, I need to correlate a face with a gamer tag, and I haven't seen this face in a year. It's very stressful, guys. I'm not gonna lie, because I really want to say that I remember each and every one of you when you walk up at the LAN. But if I don't, it's not because I don't like you. It's because I can't remember, and it's been a year. So it's just the way that life goes. But
and you know what's funny too?
But the name tags, right? Like what Josh has right there. Like that's exactly it. Like that's why we wear the name tags with both your real name and your gamer tag on it, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I think it's funny for my wife. Like there'll be some times where I refer to somebody as their gamer tag, and she's just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
being a nerd.
Being a nerd, yeah. Don't worry about it. And so I think that's really funny for some reason. But we do that. We're like, oh yeah, I know that person more by, like, even with DJ over here. Like, I never know what to call you, honestly. Like, and so in a given day, I probably call you 5 things. Like, and so, or if like we're at church and I'm like introducing you to somebody, I'm like, this is Zilly Otter. I'm like, that person has no context for anything I'm talking about. But it's funny and it starts a conversation. So
It's memorable.
it's memorable.